Evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Sound Off. My last to stand here before you, and my august panel coming up here. And if it wasn't my last, it may be my last anyway because of these three guys. Two guys on the end, Soren Petro, Blair Kirchhoff, have been in here since the beginning, and I wouldn't be standing here inside KSHB if it wasn't for my buddy right there in the middle, Captain Jack. Jack Harry. Jack, how are you, buddy?
Well, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you doing? It's so good to see you again. It's been about 2 years since I sat in this newsroom, and man, I look around and it's kind of quiet down here, you know?
Hey, Jack, that's because I'm up here, okay?
Yeah,
and of course,
right.
Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810 WHB, and a program from 10 to 2 every day. Soren, how are you?
I'm doing well, Frank. I'm just glad you finally figured out how to take a hint, and looking forward to this last go-round with you, my friend. That and hearing Jack complain about the cost of parking and ticket prices. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Blair Kirchhoff, my man for all seasons. Blair, you're the only piece of sanity that we have here this evening. So there we go.
Frank, how you doing tonight? Congratulations on 2 years worth of Sunday Sound-Offs.
Yeah, we've been having some fun. Gentlemen, here are our hot topics for the evening if we ever get to them. The Chiefs Kingdom, are they in for a disappointing 2017 season? And should the Royals be buyers before the trading deadline? But first, to our question of the week. Jack, who really fired John Dorsey? Was it Clark Hunt or Andy Reid?
Come on now, Frank. You're not going to give me a softball right out of the box like that, are you? Where's my man Carl Peterson? We blamed him for everything. But you know what? I haven't been around this football team for the last couple of years, and I'm just taking an educated guess here. But my issue really is what went on out there Thursday. When I heard this, I could not believe. I said, what in the world? I just heard that Reid had signed a new deal, and all I can remember hearing all these news conferences over the years was Dorse this and Dorse that, and let Dorse handle it because Dorse knows all about this. Now Dorse is gone, and where is Reid? Reid, all these guys jumped in the foxhole, man. None of them stood up and dodged the bullet. They're gone. The head coach is out in California. The owner writes some little letter, you know, little press release. But in all seriousness, I think it's time that Clark Hunt feels a little heat in all this. Now you look at it. We've talked about general managers. We've talked about head coaches. We've talked about players. They haven't won a home playoff game since 1994 or whenever it was. How does this guy get off on all this? I mean it now. They're going to have 4 general managers in the last 9 years. We went 40 years with this franchise. I think we had a total of 4 GMs. Now all of a sudden they got 4. So I mean, it's Peterson's fault. It's Pioli's fault. It's Dorsey's fault. How about the owner? When's it going to be his fault?
There we go. Soren, you got an answer for Jack?
Well, look, one thing is very clear in this situation, and that's that Blair owes me $50 because Blair said, no way does Jack get around to Carl Peterson until segment 2. And I said, it happens in segment number 1. So I look forward to picking that up when we're done. Now, look, to get back to the question, which I was enjoying Jack going, you know, there's nothing like Jack after a Chiefs game on a Sunday, too. Trust me. Look, it is the owner. It's ultimately the owner, no matter what. He's the guy that has to take responsibility for all the moves that are made. If he hires somebody else and they make the decision, it ultimately comes back to Clark Hunt. So it's definitely Clark Hunt who fired him. But look, life is not black and white. There isn't one villain standing out in the middle of some Old West movie that if you go out and you can draw faster than him, you can take him down and everything's solved and the world's a better place. It doesn't work like that. Certainly Andy Reid had something to do with this. If nothing else, he's complicit in the decision. I think Andy Reid is obviously the big dog and should be the big dog around Arrowhead. He's the guy that gets it done. He's the guy that coached a team that won 43 games. And frankly, he was very good as a personnel guy in Philadelphia, leading the Eagles while he had both roles to 4 NFC Championship games and 1 Super Bowl loss. I mean, this is not a boob. He won over 100 games during the 10 years that we know he was the guy. But I think it's clear that he didn't stand in the way of firing John Dorsey. I think it comes down to this. If John Dorsey's the general manager of the Green Bay Packers in a year, this was John Dorsey saying, I don't want more than 1 year. I want to be the Packers GM. If John Dorsey's looking for a job for 2 or 3 years, Clark Hunt fired him or Andy Reid said, it's me or him, one or the other.
Yeah. Blair, what do you think? The timing was just atrocious.
Well, timing was fascinating, wasn't it? It was the Andy Reid contract extension about, let's just say, 4 o'clock on Thursday, and at 4:45 or so comes the word of John Dorsey, and it was just stunning. The answer to the question is, of course, it was Clark Hunt, but Andy Reid absolutely has, certainly would have input and have something to say about this if he wanted to. So I was at OTAs for most of them. I missed the final one, but for most of those OTAs when I was out at Chiefs training camp, John Dorsey was there in his sweatshirt like he usually is, patrolling the sidelines, talking to assistant coaches. There was nothing to indicate that this was going to happen. Now, in hindsight, we go back and look at the Jeremy Maclin situation and, the cap space situation, all the, the administrative problems that the Chiefs have had, and you try to build a case, but I really don't think it's there to build. I think if anybody had saw this coming, people were quiet about it. I certainly didn't see it coming, but I don't think the Chiefs are terribly weakened by this. I think we're going to talk about it later, but I think the Chiefs are set up to have a pretty good 2017 season, and they'll get their new GM in here before training camp.
All right, up next, our hot topics. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.